Hi, my name is Diana Cleland, and my capstone discusses how students can achieve the mental state of flow in piano practice and performance. So students might find that piano practice is a chore, or that they become frustrated or bored during practice, but flow can help them change that and become more positive and focused during practice. They can find that their practice time is spent more efficiently and productively, and that they can develop skills and ideas without becoming bored or frustrated. This will lead to a more positive experience at the piano and therefore a more positive experience performing. So students who have stage fright or performance anxiety might find that by practicing entering the state of flow and experiencing that, they can do it during performances as well, leading them to better interpretation and communication on stage. I chose this topic because it can be applied to all things in life, not just music. It can be applied to work, sports, education, spirituality, really anything. So I thought other teachers and educators might benefit from learning about how to induce and experience flow. So flow was first named by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who was a Hungarian psychologist. He first mentioned it in 1975. And defined it as a subjective state where people report when they are completely involved in a particular activity to the point of forgetting all other things like hunger and fatigue. It's all forgotten. It's kind of like when we say that we are in the zone. That's what flow is. You forget everything else. You're so into whatever activity you're doing that that's all that really matters. In flow, there is a merging of action and awareness, so the only thing you're aware of is the one thing that you're doing. There's a sense of control. You don't feel like anything is beyond your reach or that things are a little too easy. You feel like you have a good grasp of everything. And there's an altered sense of time. So as I said, it's kind of like time flies when you're having fun. There's an altered sense of time in that you forget everything else. It's not relevant at all. There have to be certain conditions present in order to achieve flow. And those are that there have to be a clear set of goals that channel the attention rather than being ends in themselves. There has to be a balance between the perceived challenge level of the activity and the skill level of the individual. This could be the most important thing. That's what this graph here shows, is if the difficulty is too high and the skill level is too low, they'll be anxious and have anxiety. If your skill level is too high and your difficulty level is too low, that can lead to boredom over here. But if your difficulty level of the piece that you're working on, say, and your skill level as a pianist are the same, then they match up in this line here, which is where you can enter flow because everything matches. So there's no anxiety or boredom, you're in flow. There also has to be clear and immediate feedback present that is more useful than negative. So when you're playing piano, if you make a mistake, okay, there's the clear and immediate feedback. You made a mistake, just go fix it, but not to the point where there's mistakes every minute, because that would again tie into the difficulty being too high and the skill level not being high enough. So Csikszentmihalyi also said that it is attainable by everyone, but it is harder for people like narcissists or people with schizophrenia, because they're already automatically focused on something other than the activity that they're doing. So it is harder for them, but it's not impossible. The next resource I'm going to talk about is a book by Julie Nagel. She wrote a book called Managing Stage Fright, and in this book she listed the ABCs of stage fright, and these are: A is the event that is taking place, so in a pianist's case, the performance. B are the thoughts and feelings of the student or performer, and these can be altered by someone else, by an outside force. And C is the outcome of the event. So C would be a successful performance or lots of mistakes in the performance. So flow can tie into this, because if a student can learn flow from their teacher and learn how to attain flow, they will become more positive about the experience, and this can lead to them being on stage and being able to focus on the activity rather than being embarrassed or making mistakes on stage. So that changing of the B factor in the ABCs can lead to a change in the C, which is the outcome. So it can lead to a more positive outcome of the performance. Georgi Sandor was another author and pianist who wrote a book called On Piano Playing. And in this book he talks a lot about the physiological mechanics of piano technique and their coordination, muscles' coordinations with each other. But he also stated that composers write so that the musician can deliver the message to an audience. So that ties in with my philosophy on the point of music, which is that it's for communication. It's all communication. It's sound, it's feelings, emotions, all of that. It's for communication. And in order for a pianist to communicate efficiently, they have to be able to focus on interpretation and style, and not necessarily on notes and rhythms when it comes time for performance. So once the muscles are trained to coordinate efficiently, as Sandor says, the mind can focus on interpretation and style, and flow can again lead to this, because when you're in flow during practice, you're in the zone, you're not thinking about the coordination of the muscles that you've already trained to work, you're not thinking about the notes and rhythms, you're focusing on interpretation and style by the time you get to performance, which is the point of piano playing, in front of people anyway. The last resource I want to talk about is by Thomas Parente. He wrote The Positive Pianist, and in this book he lists an entire practice session outline for someone to induce flow and stay in flow during a practice session at the piano. He says that to begin with, you should start with something easy like scales that gives you conflict-free and immediate enjoyment, and then you work on a section that you've already worked on and become successful in. That way you can remember the feeling of success and what it took to get there. And then after you've done these things, then you move on to a harder part of the piece or a hard section of something that needs to be worked on, but that is within your capacity to learn, because at this point you're in flow, your mind's focused, you're not really thinking about anything else. And as long as that section isn't too difficult and not too easy, then you can work on it efficiently and have a positive experience there. So I just wanted to bring this up because all students can learn piano, but some people are really discouraged by the fact that they've had negative experiences on stage or in practice. Maybe they claim to not have enough practice time. But flow can help pretty much all of this. If you learn how to use flow and experience it, then it can lead to a very positive outcome. And my goal is to foster a lifelong enjoyment at the piano for these students. And I think flow can really help attain that goal, help me attain that goal anyway, with my students, because it helps them perform and practice efficiently, and it helps them feel accomplished and positive all the time at the piano. Thank you.